Okay, so here we are. We're being under attack by what looks like the Thousand Suns, or at least Sangors from the Thousand Suns. So these are the Ultramarines, and the Ultramarines are a Space Marine chapter. They're also one of the biggest Space Marine chapters, as they are tasked with defending the Eye of Terror. This is him sort of holding up the sigil or holding up the banner, which they all fight under, and they're all kind of pooling underneath it, which is really cool. In fact, this is possibly the most badass scene I've ever seen in my life. This is so cool. Defending it against these creatures. These are the Thousand Suns, which were a good chapter. They were a chapter of Space Marines 10,000 years before this that fell to the Chaos God Tzeentch. And you can see them sort of coming out of the warp towards the Ultramarines. You rarely ever get to see the Thousand Suns. It's always the Word Bearers or, you know, the Black Legion or something like that. But for once, we've got the Thousand Suns, and they are a very visually pretty enemy. Oh man, they're the Sangors. Obviously, as you can see, they're just getting it. The Bolt. There you go. He's fucked. There you go. They're jumping on him. You can see the Ultramarines. He just got liquefied by magic there. That looks like a gigantic Hellbrute. They are sort of Space Marines or poor, usually cultists are like driven into a machine of war, which bonds with them and a demon to create a Hellbrute. But they are on a par with like the Dreadnoughts. Oh. Here's some Thunderhawks coming through. Oh, what? Is that Calgar? I think it is. That is so fucking badass. That's unbelievable. So he's the chapter master of the Ultramarines. And that is really cool. He's insanely powerful. He's like super cool. He's like the best other than the Primarch himself. This is how a Space Marine is blessed and brought into battle. So the weird thing with Space Marines is that they it's like a ritualistic thing. There's not many of them, and they're not the main fighting force of the army. So they are kind of seen almost as this religious icon for the Emperor. So all this is kind of blessings, and they're kind of like, you know, almost like anointing the armor and all these kind of chaplains and things like this. He was a kind of a chaplain. So he would bless this Space Marine before he goes out to battle. And he puts sigils all over him, and there's a sigil. There you go.
What is your pledge?
Or a purity seal, or whatever you want to call it. And there you go. And he's now saying his oath as a Space Marine. But it looks like he may have just been upgraded to a Primaris Marine, which is like swearing to people these days in Warhammer, because everybody hates the Primaris Marines. There you go. Yeah, he's been turned into a Primaris Marine. There we are. And the chaplain's kind of explaining to him the stipulations of that. So the Primaris Marines are apparently the old Marines, or the first Marines, have been developed with a curse. So they're unable to, what's the word? They're unable to sort of function properly. They have sort of problems to them. Whereas these Primaris Marines don't. They are almost perfect. They're faster and stronger and more agile and just generally brilliant. And yeah, there you go. That is him. He's now ready to rock and roll and go and kick some ass. Here is a Dreadnought. So these are usually Space Marines that have been beaten and destroyed so badly that they can barely function anymore. So but they were good guys, so they don't want to lose them. So what they do is they pile them into these huge sarcophaguses with guns, and they continuously they use them in battle. And this one is a badass. Apparently, he's just killed a Hellbrute. That was the thing that was on the floor earlier. And that is a gigantic Tzeentch demon in the background there. Couple of Rubicon Marines in the background as well. And they are... so the Thousand Sons, they are... Their Primarch, or their Demon Primarch, is Magnus the Red. There is a saying that Magnus has done nothing wrong. Magnus has done everything wrong. So you're either on one side or the other. He's either the worst guy in the world or he's just the unluckiest guy in the world. But that's maybe a story for another day. He's a gigantic one-eyed red demon prince, and there are 4 chaos gods. Tzeentch is one of them. He is the chaos god of magic and change. You've then got Nurgle, who is the chaos god of pestilence, plague, and disease. You've then got Slaanesh, who is the god of lust and desire and overconsumption, you know, that kind of thing. And then you've got Khorne, who is the chaos god of blood and brutality and cruelty and just violence. He's a fun one. And so they've decided to go with a Tzeentch demon in this game, which is fun because, like I said before, they never use Tzeentch. He rarely gets a look in, but the Thousand Sons are really cool. They look very Egyptian, and they're certainly fun to play as long as you can play on the tabletop quite far away from them. There's the Dreadnoughts beating the living shit out of everything right now. Yeah, but there's that demon in the background. What's the Dreadnought doing now? I think he's just going to stomp out a warp. He's just walking straight into them. Look, he's just right in the middle of them all as they all crowd him. So Dreadnoughts are just brutal. They are thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. That's a... What is that, a Helldrake? I think that is a... Oh, it's dead. That went well. Turns out that Dreadnought is a badass. It looks like they're assaulting this thing. They're obviously trying to close the warp, close the rift, and drive this thing back. And here we are. This is them confronting that demon. Space Marines are superhuman. They're not like normal people. Normal people would just be... it looks like he could be something like Imra or something like that, I think his name is. He's a sorcerer lord for the Thousand Sons. So, yeah, the Space Marines, they're not like normal humans. Normal humans are guardsmen. There are fucking trillions of them. And they get their asses kicked every day, but there's a lot of them, so they're okay. But the Space Marines are very few. And they're very few due to the fact that about 10,000 years ago, they all lost their minds, started beating the shit out of each other, and it was horrendous. So they've kept the Space Marine numbers down to about 1,000 a chapter, so that they could never be insanely dangerous like they are. Okay, these are 3 Ultramarine Space Marines. There's Titus, he's the kind of like the main guy. And let's have a look at what they're doing. So they are looking at trying to obviously get more soldiers onto the ground, I'd imagine. And they are unable to get through the ridiculous numbers of Tyranids. So the creatures now that they're fighting in this one are Tyranids. Tyranids are also known as the Great Devourer, and this is Leviathan. So the humans came up with an idea where they would pit the orcs against the Tyranids, and they just have a planet where the Leviathan and the orcs just fight each other forever. Which was a great idea, but the problem is orcs regenerate, and so do Tyranids. Also, Tyranids get bigger with more biomass they get, and orcs get bigger the more they kill. So what was happening was, every time an orc killed a Tyranid, it got bigger, and every time a Tyranid killed a bunch of orcs, it used their biomass to make more Tyranids. So what we have now is that in the result is an insanely powerful hive tyrant hive ship called Leviathan, which is now so dangerous that it really is threatening a lot of the human planets. The Tyranids are unfeeling, unrelenting, and evil. They don't care for anyone or anything. They only live for biomass. They come onto a planet, they annihilate it within a year. It is completely wiped out. They will destroy all life. There's a Tyranid. So these are Tyranids that the Space Marines are going through. And they are going through them like butter, but I'm not going to lie to you. Tyranids are one hell of a force to come up against because they are absolutely overwhelming in number. You're not just dealing with millions, you're dealing with billions, trillions, gazillions, bajillions. I can't even think of other aliens' names. But these guys are just cutting through them with their weapons, the bolt guns. And just so you know, the bolt gun shoots mini missiles. So it basically shoots the equivalent of a mini nuclear weapon every time it shoots that bullet. So anything it hits, it disintegrates. And he's a badass. There's his chainsword. And he's just chopping the shit out of these guys. But yeah, there you go. There is another fantastic scene from this game. And this game really is incredible. It just looks so beautiful. And the characters look so fleshed together. But yes, once Tyranids come, they destroy everything. They kill everything. And then they suck it all up. And it's, yeah, it's gone. Here we go. This is the Death Watch. And the Death Watch are a chapter of Space Marines. They're like the Special Forces. So what they do is they take veteran and they take exceptional Space Marines from each chapter, and they put them together in what they call the Death Watch. And the Death Watch are for what if the Inquisition and the Emperor needs more firepower than a normal Space Marine, then they'll send the Death Watch. But they go into the most grisliest of situations. So this is, I think this was the beginning of the game, and this is them coming down onto the planet. This is how the Tyranids work. They just completely and utterly cover everything and just annihilate it. They pull it to pieces, look. And here they come. Boom. And they just... So Space Marines are not like normal humans. They can survive a lot. They have 2 hearts, they have 3 sets of lungs, they can spit acid, they can change the pigment of their skin, which has never come into task ever. They are incredibly resilient, powerful soldiers. They are basically Doomslayer / Halo all in one. But this looks like we are following a... yeah, there you go, the kill team leader. And he's on his way through the planet to drop a virus bomb. And these bombs are horrendously disgusting because when they are dropped, they liquidate the insides of all they touch. These are Hormagaunts. Here they come. Little tiny Tyranids. Very easy to use. Very easy for the Tyranid hive fleet to make. And they just completely over the top everything. This guy's in a bit of trouble. He's completely surrounded. But he seems to be doing well. But yeah, they are vile. The Tyranids are vile. And I'm so glad they're getting representation in this particular game because they deserve it. Oh, there you go. Oh, and he's been blasted. And he's down. He's down. And he looks like he's in a bit of trouble. He's getting himself up. He's a badass though, right? There you go. And oh, it's Titus. There he is. There he is. And he's in serious trouble. He's getting up. He's such a badass. It's unbelievable. And away we go again. He's about to shoot 4 fucking million things. That is a... I don't... Oh my god, that is powerful. Is that a hive tyrant? Is that a hive tyrant? That might be a hive tyrant, and if it is, that is one legitimately scary looking thing to fight. But oh, Titus is in a bit of trouble here. It's got him, and it's skewered him, so he's in a bit of trouble. Yeah, he's about to get slopped in half, and then he's just shot by something. There you go, he's dead.